got you. Let it rap real quick. Look. The city eyes, it's time to vote God. My God, a real nigga, cause he wasn't no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure, got that shotty in the closet by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard, tell them it's all true. Be cautious, that foundation falls till you fall through. They gon' fall. Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2. Ain't no more heart in this game, I'm John Q. Colder than the avalanche, way above average. Fierce taste sweet, told him make me an apple crisp. Left us in the valley full of bones, this where hope found. Java, come on, man. Dark sands get broke down. Riding through Evans to a mall quad. Telling me how the crackers turn his childhood to a ghost town. Focus out there, I lay that game down. I feel his pain, cause nothing is the same now. Let my light shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, no tangent. Try to warn them niggas, we bear arms like tarantulas. Them other niggas rap, I make anthems. I really seen prophets under this banner. Made my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I wanted black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that sunk dirt in the handle. Look, I move like a Brazilian, precious cargo, spirit ancient, but I got a new semi-auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Wardo. Sleep if they won't, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Pay me for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like Dorothy when the heels touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Ride with Yara down, just left the state bridge. Looking for a bitch better than Baby's kid. Remember I dropped Quiet Storm, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Yabashim Yashar Bracket Thumb to the brothers, Yawashim Allah Thumb Bashim Yashar to the sisters. I'm Priest Officer Parag holding down the Wednesday law class coming out of ISUPK, Arizona. All right. We'll put it at the bottom of the screen. We got a class location 12416 North 28th Drive in Phoenix, Arizona. We're in suite number 4. All right. If you're in the Phoenix area, make sure you get down with us, man. We out here every Tuesday through Friday at 7 p.m. and every Saturday we hold our Sabbath service at 11 a.m. All right. If you're watching online, you can see today's title, right? Today's title is the Jezebel Spirit. All right. We're going to talk about something extremely important today. All right. The Jezebel Spirit. The Jezebel Spirit is not something, for one, Jezebel is not a woman of the night, a lady of the night, like how Christianity would have you taught. They don't really teach you about the Bible. So, of course, they would get this wrong. Right. But what Jezebel actually is and what she represented is something a lot deeper than just some prostitute, you know, and it's something that we got to discuss because a lot of people don't think they have the Jezebel, don't think they have that spirit of Jezebel because they're not a prostitute, but you're a monster to your husband. Well, that also makes you have the Jezebel spirit. You got a Jezebel spirit if you're doing that. We're going to talk about it. You understand? We're going to make it very plain and simple. This is going to be a history lesson tonight. All right. I know today's Wednesday law class, but in order to understand this thing, we got to have some history. All right. And in this history, we're going to find out who Jezebel was, what her spirit was, and why it's important for us to understand the spirit of Jezebel today in 2024. A lot of you sisters is monster. I'm not talking about your sisters in the truth. Y'all are all perfectly good angels. I'm just talking about most women in America today. All right. Black, Hispanic, and Native American women today are destroyed, and they act like the women that we're about to read tonight. And I'm going to put everything on the screen for y'all. All right. I'm going to put everything on the screen for y'all. So we're going to read it together. And we're going to understand this thing. What is the spirit of Jezebel? Why is this important for us to understand in 2024? All right. We're going to jump right into it. Now, the way that I teach this class, all right, because I've taught on Jezebel before. All right. The way that I teach this class is, let me get this up on the screen for y'all. The way that I teach this class is, I start from the end of the story. Okay. We're going to find out what eventually happens to this woman Jezebel. And then we're going to understand why by reading. Y'all ever seen the movies that they start out at the end and then the rest of the movie is telling you how they got to that point? That's what we're going to do tonight. Okay? So we're going to be in 2 Kings, the 9th chapter. 2 Kings, the 9th chapter. We're going to start off there. Okay? Let me see. How can we do this? How can we do this? Hold on. This will work. This will work. This will work. This will work. All right. So we're going to start off in 2 Kings 9. And we're going to start off at the 30th verse. We're going to scroll down a little bit, come down to the 30th verse, and we're going to read from there. All right. Once again, we're starting off at the end of this story. All right. So 2 Kings, the 9th chapter, the 30th verse. It says, and when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tied her head and looked out at a window. Verse 31. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, had Zimri peace, who slew his master? And he lifted up his face to the window and said, who is on my side? Who? And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs. Verse 33. Now, this is where we're going to get to you see it got the little caption at the top, right? It say Jezebel is slain. It's because this is her downfall. This is where she dies at. But what's important is the way that she dies and how gruesome her death was. And then we'll go on to read out how and why she deserved that type of death. All right. Verse 33 says, and he said, throw her down. So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses, and he trode her underfoot. So they threw her down out of the window, Salakia, out of the window, all right, and her blood splattered on the wall. That's a tough fall, y'all, all right? And then it says on the horses, and he trode her underfoot, meaning they trampled her with the horses. Verse 34 says, and when he was come in, he did eat and drink and said, go, see now this cursed woman and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. So nothing was left of this woman after they did all this damage to her. Nothing was left of this damn Jezebel beside her skull, her feet, and the palms of her hands. That was it. Think about that for a second. Verse 36, wherefore they came again and told him, and he said, this is the word of the Most High, which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, in the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel. This was a prophecy that was fulfilled. The prophecy was delivered by Elijah and fulfilled when nothing was left of this woman beside the palm of her hand, her feet, and her skull. The dogs came and ate everything else. Verse 37 says, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, this is Jezebel, meaning she will be unrecognizable. This is Jezebel. That's what we're talking about tonight. Now, why did I read that first? That's such a gruesome death. What did this woman do to deserve that type of death? Well, we're going to find out what she did is not uncommon in 2024. What she did to deserve that type of death is not uncommon in 2024. A lot of women are doing the same thing that this woman did. You understand? And we're going to read all of these things. Now, we're going to start off. So I'm going to get it for y'all. So we're going to start off in the book of 1 Kings. Now we're going to, once again, that's the end of the movie. We got to get to the beginning. We got to get to the start of the story. All right. So now we're going to start off. We're going to find out where Jezebel comes from, who she is, and why she deserved to be put to death in such a traumatic way. I mean, it's almost traumatizing reading it. It's ridiculous. You telling me they threw out of that goddamn window her blood? She splattered. Her blood sprinkled all over the wall. They trode her underfoot with the horses. And then none of her body was found besides her skull, her hands, and her feet, her extremities. That's it. Because the dog came and ate her up because of a prophecy that Elijah delivered. Like, what did she do to deserve that type of death? We got to talk about it. All right. So we're gonna start in the beginning, right? We're gonna see where she comes from, who her husband was, and we're gonna get the entire history of Jezebel, Lord allow. All right, everything that we need to understand. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull it up on the screen for us. Let me see, is this better? No, let's put it like this. All right, so now we're gonna read 1 Kings, the 16th chapter and the 30th verse. Let's start at verse 30. It says, "And Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord above all that were before him." Something we got to understand about the kings of Israel is that, especially when you go through the book of Kings and Chronicles, you find out that there was always a wicked king, then a righteous king, and then another wicked king, and then a righteous king. The reason for that is because the Lord always punishes the wicked king, and everybody sees that and wants to get right. But then they quickly forget, and so they revert back to their iniquity. That's what always happens. You find that when you read the book of Kings, all right? But this brother, Ahab, he just so happened to be an evil king, a wicked king that was willing to serve idols and things like that, which is something that's not uncommon to Israel. We find that all throughout the book of Kings, all throughout the book of Chronicles. All right, well, he did evil in the sight of the Most High, but it says something very specific about his wickedness. It says that he did evil in the sight of the Lord above all that were before him. So all of the kings that have committed wickedness before Ahab, nothing was like what this brother did. And we're going to find out exactly what that is. And I'm going to give you all a spoiler alert. It has a whole hell of a lot to do with this wicked broad Jezebel. All right, verse 31 says, "And it came to pass as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the sons of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him." All right, this is important. What this is it's giving us the nationality of the woman Jezebel. She is a Zidonian. For those of you that do not know what the Zidonians are, they are Canaanites. For those of you that do not know who the Canaanites are, they are Hamites. For those of you who do not know who the Hamites are, they are the so-called Africans that you find today, the ones with the plates in their lips, those ones. All right. And I'm going to show y'all actually, matter of fact, let's just do this real quick. Let's get Genesis the 10th chapter. All right. Let's get Genesis the 10th chapter. Let's read this real quick so we can understand who the Zidonians were. All right, we're going to highlight this one verse right here. Salakia, going into the language and everything. All right, so Genesis 10 and 15, we got that highlighted. All right, so it's at the very top of y'all screen. And this is where the Zidonians come from. It says, "And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn." This is where the Zidonians come from. You find a lot about the Zidonians in the Old Testament, and as far as us battling them and things like that. So the Zidonians were actually a nation that was full of warriors, and you'll find a lot of that throughout the so-called Old Testament. Now, what's important to understand about the Zidonians, we saw that that Jezebel, her father was Ethbaal. Okay, he's actually named, which is many people of that nation, and many people all throughout, was named after Baal. Baal was an idol. All right, he was a false god. All right, that many of the heathen nations went on to serve. All right, a little bit of backstory on Baal. He was just a man. He was a man that was an excellent farmer, and when he died, people began to worship him because they wanted the crops to grow. It's as simple as that. That's how idols are born, and that was one of the greatest idols of that time. That was Baal. Now, many of these Hamite nations went on to serve Baal, and in all honesty, they could do whatever the hell they want, right? Because their God is not Yahweh, so their God did not tell them not to serve other gods. These other nations can serve whatever God they want to. The problem herein lies is that Jezebel got married to the brother Ahab, who is an Israelite, who was told in Exodus the 20th chapter, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." But the problem is, another thing that the Most High said in the book of Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, Don't go and deal with these other women. Why? Because they're going to turn you to their gods. And one thing that Ahab did, we're going to find, he got down with this wicked, disgusting Hamite who worshipped Baal, and he began to worship her God. Because that's what you simp brothers will do. You brothers are simps, and you're going to worship whatever God that your woman worship. Well, that's what this brother did. And he's a king. He could have any woman he wants. Think about this for a second. We're going to keep reading Salaki, but I just got to touch on this for a second. This brother could have any woman he wants. He go get him a nasty Hamite, all right? And then go and worship her God because he's bending to her. Wouldn't you think, it's crazy as hell to think about, wouldn't you think that this brother being a king of Israel, you can make this woman do whatever you want. And if she don't, then you'll go get you another woman who will. But he want this one. And this one not willing to serve the Most High Yahweh. You willing to serve her God. This is the type of brothers that's why the scriptures call this man wicked, more wicked than any of the kings prior to him because of this. All right, we're going to read it. We're going to read it. Salaki. All right, so let's get back to it. Salaki. We're going to read. We're going to go back into 1 Kings, the 16th chapter. All right. This is still just the introduction, right? But let's read it. Let's read it. All right. So now we're going to scroll on down to the 32nd verse, right? Right down here. So immediately after it tells us who Jezebel is, now it's telling us this. Verse 32, it says, and he reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria. He built an altar and a temple to Baal because he married this woman whose God was Baal. This is why the Lord told us not to intermingle with the other nations, because they got other gods. And they're going to make us serve their gods. It ain't never no point where we deal with another nation of people and they come and serve our God. It don't never work like that. We always go and we serve their God. And that's what the Lord knew would happen to us. That's why he gave us the law to tell us not to deal with these other nations. All right? Because we see a whole king of Israel doing this. He reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria, in the northern kingdom of Israel. Verse 33 says, and Ahab made a grove. And Ahab did more to provoke the most high power of Israel to anger than all of the kings of Israel that were before him. He pissed the Lord off so bad that it was worse than any of the other kings that we can go back and see. Did terrible things. Did absolutely, got a bunch of Israelites killed. You understand? Broke all of the laws. But this brother was the worst because he reared up temples to these other gods. Y'all got to understand how serious this is. That's why the Lord is we starting off already on a bad foot. The introduction to Jezebel is terrible. Let's read something. Matter of fact, let's read Deuteronomy the 7th chapter. We're going to read that for a second. We got to read this because the Lord, he knows his children. We are the children of the Most High God. All right, and he knows his children. He know we dumb as hell, and these other nations. Psalms 147 tells us that the other nations don't have the law, so they don't have the law in Exodus 20 that tells them not to deal with other gods. They can deal with any gods they want to. The Most High God, Yahweh, is not their God, but we are given the law. And so now are you starting to understand why we shouldn't be mingling with them? Because we got different rules and regulations that we must abide by. The other nations ain't got those rules and regulations. You understand? But let's read this. Let's read this. Let me scroll down real quick so y'all can see it. All right. We're going to read Deuteronomy the 7th chapter. We're going to start at verse 3. Matter of fact, let's actually read from the first verse so we can totally understand and get the perfect context to understand where Ahab messed up. He got this woman, Jezebel, who was a Canaanite, a Zidonian. Let's read it. Deuteronomy 7:1. It says, when the Most High thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou, And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them from before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Most High be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. This is the Lord telling you. Before any of this happened, before there was ever a king of Israel, the Lord is telling the children of Israel, don't deal with the Canaanites. They serve other gods. I know this. We know this. The Lord knows this. And he's telling us not to deal with them because they are going to turn your heart away from serving the Most High Yahweh and into serving their God. A father is always right. And the Lord not stupid. He made this law and made it to where that Moses could deliver it to us so that way we would know not to deal with them. Why? Because they're going to turn our hearts away from serving the Most High. And that's exactly what Ahab did. Ahab married a goddamn stinking Canaanite, a Zidonian. And he was hated by the Lord. The Lord hated him. It's in a book. He's disgraced forever. He's in this Bible as a disgrace forever because he dealt with a Zidonian, a Canaanite, the same nation of people we just read that the Lord told us not to deal with. And now we see it. And now once again, he reared up that altar. Listen, we at the beginning of the story. You understand? He reared up an altar to Baal because of this woman. This is not the worst that it gets. It gets a lot worse. All right. It gets a whole lot worse. We're going to find that out. So now we're going to go back to the book of 1 Kings. All right. We're going to go back to the book of 1 Kings. We're going to read this thing. We're going to understand it. We're going to find out that this man did so much wickedness under this broad that's why Jezebel had such a bad name. Now, she wasn't a prostitute by any means. She wasn't a woman of the night. She just married our brother. You understand? But she was a lot worse than a prostitute. All right, and we're going to find out why. So we're going to start off 1 Kings, the 18th chapter. All right. 1 Kings 18:1. We'll just start off right at the top. All right, let's get this story. Let's get in here. There's a lot of history that we're going to go over, a lot of reading, but we're going to get through it, all right? 1 Kings 18:1, it says, and it came to pass after many days that the word of the Most High came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, go, show thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. So the Lord is telling the Lord is telling Elijah to go and deal with Ahab, the same brother we talking about that's married to Jezebel. Verse 2 says, and Elijah went to show himself unto Ahab, and there was a sore famine in Samaria. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for it was so, when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water. What did this? Hold on. What did this just say? This just said that Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Most High. We're going to read that in just a second, but they just decided to throw that in here in parentheses, which means this was added. This is just added context that the translators had put in here. But Obadiah, who we read, of course, we understand that's the great prophecy of Edom, the destruction of Edom. We all know about that book that he wrote, right? That prophecy that he delivered. That same Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave. All right, because this woman was such a monster, she was killing the prophets of the Lord. Just for y'all, so you can understand the history. All right, just so Salaki, we got to get this though. We got to understand this. In the time of old, right, a lot of people look at the Bible and they believe that there was just a few prophets at any given time, right? So you only had like Isaiah, Ezekiel, Obadiah, Nehemiah, just these few prophets, but there were actually whole encampments of prophets, hundreds of prophets at any given time that the Most High had raised up through the Spirit of the Most High. He raised these brothers up and they became prophets. There was a lot of them at any given time. Well, what we find out that Jezebel did, she didn't like the God of Israel. She was anti the Most High. She was against the Most High because she was a servant of Baal. That's her thing. That's her. She's a Canaanite. That's her God. That's her idol. So she didn't like the fact that the children of Israel had the Most High Yahweh, who everybody knew was the true and living God. Everybody understood that. Everybody understood that, right? And so she began to start to kill these prophets under the protection of King Ahab. He the king of Israel, and he's allowing his wife to do that wicked deed. That's why he's a piece of garbage, and he goes down in the history as a shameful, disgusting man. But we're gonna keep reading, right? Once again, that was just a little side note, but let's keep reading. All right, I'm gonna add it back to the stream so y'all can see it. Now we're gonna scroll down. We're gonna scroll down a little bit to the 15th verse. All right, oops, Salakia. We're gonna scroll down to the 15th verse. It says, and Elijah said, as the Most High of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, art thou he that troubleth Israel? That's the question that he's asking. All right. He says, and he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou. Because Ahab is asking Elijah, are you the one troubling Israel? Remember, Elijah is a prophet. Ahab is allowing his wife to kill the prophets. You understand? And so Ahab is asking Elijah if he's the one that's troubling Israel, because this is a prophet that is protecting the other prophets that this woman is trying to kill. But Elijah answers back and tells him, I didn't trouble Israel, but you did. You the one killing the prophets. You allowing your dog of a wife to kill these prophets. We're going to keep reading in verse 18. So like you. We're going to keep reading in verse 18. It says, and thy father's house, in that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Most High, and thou hast followed Balaam. All right. This is talking about him serving Baal with his wife. All right. Now we got to talk about that for a second. Let's skip a little bit in this story. Let's skip a little bit in this story. All right. We're going to skip just a little bit to get to the 21st chapter, because this goes on for a while and it's a lot to unpack with this, but we got to understand it. All right. We got to understand it. One of the major reasons why we just read that, right, is to understand that Elijah, who is arguably one of the greatest prophets to have ever existed when it comes to doing the work of the Lord. A lot of, we read a lot of the major prophets, Isaiah, Ezekiel, things like that. But when you go into the book of Kings, you find that Elijah was a hell of a prophet. I mean, he called lightning down from the Most High, fire down from heaven. You understand? And defeated the prophets of Baal. Like, he did a lot of work for the Most High that's recorded in this Bible. And he was dealing directly with Ahab, him and Obadiah as well, dealing directly with Ahab and teaching against and prophesying against his wickedness. And remember, this is another thing we have to remember, right? At the beginning, when we talked about the death of Jezebel, remember we talked about the fact that Elijah prophesied her death and said that the dogs was going to eat her up. She's going to die, and the dogs were going to eat her up, so that not much of her was going to be remaining. All right. So just keep that in mind. That's why we're going through these things. All right. It's a lot to cover, but let's make sure we get through it. All right. Because trust me, it gets deep. So like you. All right. So I'm gonna add this back to the stream. We're gonna be in 1 Kings, the 21st chapter. All right. So now we're gonna start off at verse 1. All right, we're gonna start off at verse 1. Verse 1, it says, 1 Kings 21:1, it says, and it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard, which was in Jezreel, hard by the place of Ahab, king of Samaria. And Ahab spake unto Naboth, saying, Give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house. And I will give thee for it a better vineyard than it. Or if it seem good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in money. So he's basically strong arming this man. He's saying, look, give me the damn vineyard. I'm going to either pay you for it or I'll give you something in return, but I'm taking the damn vineyard. Verse 3 says, And Naboth said to Ahab, The Most High forbidded me that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee. He's saying, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving you the inheritance of my fathers to you. He wasn't a respected king. He was known as a king that was evil and wicked and served Baal and let his woman get him into that type of position. But let's keep reading. There's something that's extremely important that comes out of this. All right. Verse 4 says, And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him. For he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread. This nigga crying. Salakia. I'm sorry. He was just such a punk. A lot of other words that I would call him if I wasn't on this YouTube stream. You understand? He was a punk though. He could decline. He want to take this man's vineyard, but he like no. Naboth is like no, I'm not doing that, bro. And so Ahab comes home, and he get to laying on his bed, turns away his face, and start to crying, and he won't eat. And you the king of Israel, by the way, you the king of goddamn Israel, and he acting like that. He behaving like this. Give me we're gonna get to verse 5. I'm saying give me like I'm watching the damn skits. I like it. Verse 5 says, But Jezebel his wife came to him and said unto him, Why is thy spirit so sad that thou eatest no bread? So his wife come to him like, Hey, what's wrong with you? You're not eating? What's going on with you? Verse 6 says, And he said unto her, Because I spake unto Naboth the Jezreelite, and said unto him, Give me thy vineyard for money, or else if it please thee, I'll give thee another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give thee my vineyard. So he talking like he talking to his mama. You understand? Salaki. Standing Jeremy. Hold on. Salaki. Gotta come back up. Salaki. So now he say, he tell her what happened, right? He say, I wanted to buy this man's vineyard. He won't give it to me. And he pouting about it. And he won't eat because of it, right? Verse 7 says, And Jezebel his wife said unto him, Dost thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. She had to tell this man, Hey, aren't you the king of Israel? Which is what the counselors of Israel could have given this man this counsel. If he'd have came to the counselors of Israel, the judges of Israel, and said what was going on, he could have came to them and they would have gave him the proper counsel and been like, Hey, man, look, you the king of Israel. Don't you realize that? You sit up here sad for it. You don't want to eat. You mad and you sad and you crying and you don't want to eat no food. Acting like a child. And you the king of Israel. What's wrong with you, man? They would have gave him that counsel. But he go crying to his wife about it, who is not an Israelite, who is a goddamn Canaanite, who the Lord hates. All right. And so she had to tell him. And so what she went on and did is she said that I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. What is she also doing here? Which is why we talking about the spirit of Jezebel. She is now taking control over her man. But part of it, you can't really blame her because this man is giving it to her. A man that acts like that and is soft like that is damn near like the woman got to step in and do something. You understand? However, it's a balance that goes into that, right? We got to understand that none of this should be happening in the first place. None of this. All right. This man is sinning against the Most High. Period. In actually even having this woman as a wife. You understand? As taking this woman as a wife. The scriptures expressly told him not to take a Canaanite wife. He's the king of Israel. He know better. You understand? And he knew what was going on. But weak men like this breed women like this. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. We're going to talk about that because that's a dynamic that we see in America today amongst the black community. We see that the men are breeding women like the ones that we don't like. You know, the things that we're seeing, we're going to find out about this woman Jezebel, is the thing that men are breeding today. We're creating our own worst enemy. We'll find that out in just a second. I don't want to skip too far ahead. All right. Salaki. All right. So now we're going to read verse 8. It says, so she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal and sent the letters unto the elders and to the nobles that were within the city. In his city, dwelling with Naboth. So she took it upon herself to write a letter in the king's name. What is this? What is this? What's the spirit behind this? She is now assuming the role of the king. That's what she's doing. She's now taking the position of the king from behind closed doors. And I want y'all to understand that many men are being run by their women behind closed doors. And the man is putting that position on the woman. He allowing her to have that position because he doing the same thing that Ahab is doing. He getting a rut. He's jammed up and he just in the bed, won't eat, sad. And your woman got to come help you. You creating a monster out of this broad. You understand? You creating somebody that feel like they got to step in. Once again, we're going to get to that just a second, right? But where she went wrong, all right, in this situation, we're going to find out in just a second. She took it to a whole nother level. All right, she took it to a whole nother level. Verse 9 says, and she wrote in the letter saying, proclaim a fast and set Naboth on high among the people, and set 2 men, the sons of Belial, before him, to bear witness against him, saying that thou didst blaspheme the Most High and the king, and then carry him out and stone him that he may die. All right, that's the first part of this problem, right? Naboth wouldn't give this vineyard to Ahab because he was a wicked king, a wicked ruler, a man that did not serve the Most High God. All right, but because he wouldn't do that, now we find out that this woman Jezebel is usurping the king, her husband's authority to get this man killed, to set him up. She's proclaiming, this Canaanite woman is proclaiming fasts for Israel. That's evil if I've ever seen it. Let's keep reading, right? Verse 11. All right, verse 11. And of course, she's going to get him stoned to death. But let's keep reading. Let's get verse 11, right? It says, and the men of his city, even the elders and the nobles who were the inhabitants of in his city, did as Jezebel had sent unto them, Salaki. And as it was written in the letters which she had sent unto them, they proclaimed a fast and set Naboth on high among the people. And there came in 2 men, children of Belial, and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him, even against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth did blaspheme the Most High and the king. And they carried him forth out of the city and stoned him with stones that he died. This woman got this man killed because he wouldn't give his vineyard to Ahab, and killed in the worst way, and went about it in such a sneaky way, right? As to pretend to be the king, seal the letter that she wrote, seal that letter with the king's ring to make it seem like this was the king that authorized this. Right, verse 14 says, then they sent to Jezebel, saying Naboth is stoned and is dead. And it came to pass, when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give thee for money, for Naboth is not alive but dead. All right, she killed that man. She got him killed. So now we're going to scroll down, because that was a wicked thing. No Canaanite woman should be able to step into Israelite business. I don't give a damn who you are. You can be the worst of the worst. No other nation should be allowed to step into our business and pass judgment on you. I don't give a damn who you are. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I just watched this the other day. So I know this is It's off topic, but it's on topic. All right, y'all know about Terrence Howard. All right, that cat. You know, he got this whole idea with the 1 × 1 should equal 2, and all of these different ideas about science that he feels like he got right, and other people have been getting it wrong for so long. All right, Terrence Howard, he's wrong. We all understand that. We know that. We've seen it. All right, but what happened the other day, about 2 days ago, right, on the Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan Experience. He comes back on that show, all right, and along with him, Joe Rogan invites a mathematician. This dude, this cat, he's a white guy. He's an Edomite. He's got a PhD in mathematics, and I think a couple of other things as well. It's a smart dude, smart white guy. He's a smart Edomite in this nation. And so he gets on there, and initially, he starts off by saying, I just want to hear you out, because he's smart, so he knows the stuff that Terrence Howard is saying is not accurate, but he's saying, I just want to come on here and I want to hear you out, because a lot of my, in quotations, my colleagues, right, are not hearing you out, and they're talking crazy about you and this, that, and the third, right? So initially, he comes off as humble, like he just wants to hear Terrence Howard out. By the end of that 4-hour podcast, this man had torn Terrence Howard to bits. Now, is Terrence Howard wrong? Yeah, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. He's not a physicist. He's not a mathematician. The ideas that he has are wrong, absolutely. But what I cannot stand to see is to see this Edomite come and break my brother down, even if he is wrong. I mean, he got this saying, it went so far as to, because Terrence Howard does not have a degree in physics and math and nothing. He ain't got no goddamn degree. It got so far as to this white mathematician takes out his doctorate. When you get a doctorate, they give you like almost like a book almost, all right? And he takes his doctorate out and he says, hey man, you ain't got one of these. He sets it in his lap. He says, you ain't got one of these. You don't have one of these. I know you want to be like us, but you can't be like us because you don't have one of these. Or if you try to submit for a peer review, you don't have a .edu at the end of your email. They won't even take you seriously. You're not like us. That's what this white man is telling them in so many words. I don't give a damn that Terrence Howard don't know jack nothing about science and about math. To see a man of another nation treat my brother like that infuriates me. I sat through the latter half of that podcast angry. You understand? Pissed off. No other nation, to me and to the Lord, no other nation is allowed to pass judgment on my people. I don't give a goddamn who you are. You could be Donald Trump. You could be Joe Biden. You could be anybody. You could be the king of everything. You cannot pass judgment on my brother or my sister. That's what this woman, Jezebel, did. She passed judgment on my brother. And that should infuriate you. That should make you angry. Because that's what this woman, who's a Canaanite, who the Lord hates, they got a judgment coming for them. That's what this woman did. That's what this woman did. Now, we're going to find out her punishment for this. Because not only did she kill she killed hundreds of prophets. So much so that when we read earlier, Obadiah had to hide them by 50s in caves. Obadiah had to hide these brothers because she was just out trying to kill them all. And now we got to talk about it, see? Because that's the spirit that a lot of sisters today have. A lot of our women have that same spirit. They have the spirit of trying to take control so much that you have now What this woman did is the same thing that a lot of women are trying to achieve, which is to take control not only of her man, but of the people around her. A woman's place is not to take control of her man. I don't care who you are. That's not a woman's place. Her place is not to take control of her man. A man's place is in a state of dominance. So he's supposed to dominate over that woman. A woman like this decides, I'm going to not only take over him, I'm going to dominate him, and I'm going to dominate his God. He don't get to serve the Most High no more. A lot of women have gone down that route. See, a lot of brothers will switch up, change, and serve an entirely different God just for a piece of strange tale. Listen, and it's true. Y'all seen it. Y'all see these brothers that go and chase after these white women, and then you start going to their church. You ain't going to no black churches with her. You going to the church with the unseasoned chicken and with the dry mac and cheese. You know, banging a tambourine, and nobody can sing in that place. The drummer off, you know, the pianist is off key. The guitarist, he sucked. You know, everything about this place just ain't no salt in it at all. You know, you start to go now and serve their God. It don't never be the other way around. Ain't no black man going and having relations with a white woman, and she says, I want to serve whatever God you want to serve. That don't happen. You know why it don't happen? Because it wasn't designed to be that way. Because they're not designed to serve our God. But what it is designed to be is the way that the Most High just said it in Deuteronomy 7th chapter. He said, you're going to go and have sex with that white woman, and you're going to fall in love with not only her, but her God as well. You're going to go and have sex with that Canaanite woman, and you're not only going to fall in love with her, you're going to fall in love with her God as well. And that's what Ahab did with Jezebel. Y'all gotta, hey, look, the Lord has warned us time and time. You know how many times the Lord has said what's going to happen what's going to befall us if we don't follow him? You know how many times he said that? Too many to count. Too many to count. The Lord has told us over and over and over again, stop trying to deal with these other nations. In any way, the Lord said, don't make a covenant with them. Y'all want to go make covenants with them. Now y'all want to go and hang out with them. Y'all want to be cool with them. Can you have other nations as friends? No. The Lord is telling you don't do that. Excuse me. The Lord is telling you don't be friends with them. Don't. Because you're going to fall in love with not only them, but their lifestyle. That's what the Lord is trying to tell y'all, but y'all stop. Y'all never listen to the Most High. You understand? And so you got to understand that the judgment is there because of the disobedience. And we find that Ahab is now in history. And this is the worst thing that damn near could possibly happen to somebody, is now your name is etched in this book, etched in this holy Bible as being one of the most wicked kings because of a bitch. Excuse my language. Because of a Canaanite woman. Because of a dog. Now you now forever remembered as a punk. He scribed in this book that this man laid down. He couldn't get to his vineyard, so he laid down and started to pout and wouldn't eat like a child. That's the worst damn thing that could most like. There's a lot of other things that could happen, but that's like the worst thing. All right, Salaki, y'all, give me 1 second, Salaki. And that's Salaki, y'all. So that's the worst thing that could happen to you, I think, is for you to be etched down in this book as a punk, and for the Most High to proclaim to the world that he hates you because of what you did, and now we got to learn a bad example from you. That's a terrible thing, and all of this is because of the woman that he chose. All of this is because of the woman that he chose. He chose to be with this Canaanite broad that worshiped Baal. But let's find out her. Let's read what this prophecy is about this woman. All right. I'm in 1 Kings 21.
1 Kings 21.
1 Kings 21 and 23.
1 Kings chapter 21. Verse 3. Book of 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 3. And Naboth said to
21 and 23, Salaki.
21 and 23.
Yeah, 23rd verse, Salaki.
And of Jezebel, verse 23. And of Jezebel also spake the Lord, saying, the dogs shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. Him that dieth of Ahab in the city of the dogs shall eat, and him that dieth in the field shall the fowls of the air eat.
This is the judgment that the Most High is proclaiming against this woman and against Ahab. And this is something that's important. Remember, when we read at the beginning of the class how this woman died, she died in such a terrible way. I mean, once again, they threw her out of the goddamn window. Her blood splattered against the wall. All right. And then the horses trampled over this woman. And then when they went back to go look at her, only her skull, her hands, and her feet were there. The dogs ate the rest of her. That's what her judgment was because of how wicked she was. Because that's what she deserved. And see, once again, what was her wickedness? Her wickedness was the fact that she passed judgment on Israel as a Canaanite. And she usurped the authority of her husband by taking when her husband was upset and didn't want to eat and was mad that this man did not want to give him his land. She decided to take it into her own land. Her own hands to write a letter pretending to be the king and sending it off to these other nations saying, hey, you got to kill this cat as if it's the king, it's an order from the king, and then sealed it with the king's seal. That's what she did. I'm going to show y'all something. Salaki, let me see what I want. I think I want Deuteronomy. Matter of fact, before I get Deuteronomy, Salaki. Let me get Ecclesiastes. Let me get Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. Let me get Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter, and the 26th verse.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 26. And I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands.
So this is what Solomon, the wisest man to ever live, he said that he finds more bitter than death. Meaning the thing that he's about to talk about is worse than death. And death is something that all men fear. I don't give a damn who you are. You don't want to die. You understand? He said more bitter than death, he finds the woman. Why? Because women have a power over, especially over weak men, but women have a power that most people don't actually want to talk about.
Right.
Most people actually don't want to talk about the fact that women do have a whole lot of power. You know what? This cat that I work with, he put me onto this podcast called the No Fugazi podcast, and it's like it's like this guy. He talks to a bunch of women, and all the women are the same. They all like feminists. They all believe that men and women are equal, and really women are actually better than men, and they're stronger than men, and they have more control than men, and all of these things. And when I hear it, I gotta be like, she got a point. Not because it's true, not because women are better than men or because they're equal to men, because of course the scriptures say that a man is above a woman. But I understand why they think that, because men give women a lot of power. Men, like what we just read with Ahab, he gave that woman that power. The reason why why Jezebel had so much power is because he gave her that power by submitting to her when he's the goddamn king of Israel. He could have had her bow to his very feet, but because he wanted a woman, he wanted that woman and wanted to please her, he followed her God, built altars to Baal, and allowed this woman in his name to go and kill hundreds of prophets of the Most High. You have something to like?
It's like the, you know what I'm saying, being jealous over a woman. You know what I'm saying? That one scripture with, like, you teaching her a lesson, you know what I'm saying, which is you basically letting her choose, you know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with men, is that you feel weak because, or you really, she's really making most of the decisions. And it's crazy how most of brothers think, right? How most of the decisions go from how much fear you have towards this woman, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, they're scared of what, of this woman talking or leaving, right? What do they say? They say, well, if you don't do it, well, somebody else will.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? One of those things where it's like, now you think that you got to do it, right? Because if you don't please her, somebody else will.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't please her, then that she's gonna go back to that ex, or you're nothing like her ex, right? So you gotta teach her, or you gotta show her that you're not like her ex.
Right.
And she'll like seduce you into believing and thinking the way she wants you to move. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's a weakness that we got, and we have to get over that. See, Ahab was a king of Israel, so
Right.
of course he could have any woman he wanted. You think he could have been any different than Solomon? No, he was the same. He was in the same position that Solomon was in, and Solomon could have any woman that he wanted. As a king, you can have any woman that you want, and the problem is that we can have any woman we want. We may not be the king of Israel, but men can get women. You don't need the broad that is not going to deal with you. Now, I'm saying, now this is of course not saying if you lay down with a woman, of course that's your wife. You stuck with her. You made a terrible decision, and she's a monster, and you got to deal with it. But I'm saying men don't have to settle for these women. Like what Ahab had a problem with, and we're going to read it in the book of First Ezra in just a second. He had a problem with understanding the power of a woman. When you don't understand the power that a woman holds, you lose to it. You lose to that woman. And Ahab lost to Jezebel. He lost. Because instead of, now look, this is a Canaanite woman, so he shouldn't have been with this broad anyway, right? But you could make her bow down to Yahweh instead of you bowing down to her god Baal.
Right.
You can do that. Instead of you building altars to her god Baal, she can come and serve the Lord. Any nation can come and serve the Lord. We read that all throughout the Bible. Any nation could come and give reverence to the Most High. You could have made her do that. But instead of doing that, you decided, hey, I'm going to go serve her God. I'm going to go serve Baal. And not only am I, and this is the thing, and this is such, it's such a, it's what is wrong with black leaders today. Because all of the power that black leaders have today to fix black communities, they go and do things for the LGBTQ community or for white communities or for other people or for the damn, what's them people across the damn Arabs over there, whatever the hell they are, right? They'll go and they'll put money, funnel their money and their resources to them and won't do it for us. Well, that's what Ahab did. Ahab built altars to Baal, to another nation's God, instead of all that he could have done to lift Israel up. Instead of doing that, he went and built off the altars to another God, to this damn Canaanite God. Think about that. Let's get real quick. First Ezra, the 3rd chapter. Let me see where I want to start though. Salakia. Okay. It's damn, you got to read a lot of this to get the context, but let's see. Okay, let me see. Let's read First Ezra 3 and 12. So, there's a king named Darius, right? He's not a king over the Israelites. I believe he was an Assyrian king, right? And what's the brother's name? I don't know why it's escaping me right now. This brother's name.
Start at 10.
Yeah, Khan. But what's this brother's name? Why is it escaping me right now? Nah, Darius is the king. The brother that I'm talking about, I cannot recall his name right now. I don't know what. Zerubbabel. I don't know why that name was escaping. Zerubbabel was one of the most righteous men to ever live. He was an excellent brother. Zerubbabel is going to tell us something. So the king asked a few of his servants, what's the strongest thing in the world? What has the most influence? What has the most power? He's talking to these brothers because these brothers are smart, right? And they can give him some good insight. He's the king. He needs to know these things. Let's get 1 Ezra 3 and 10. These are their responses.
1 Ezra chapter 3 verse 10. The first wrote, wine is the strongest. The second wrote, the king is the strongest.
So now the first two, they're saying wine is the strong. Why? Because drinking, it alters people's minds. Sometimes when you want to get somebody to do something, you get them drunk. You understand? Now that's not we don't do that, but that's what people do sometimes because it's called spirits for a reason. It causes people to think a different way. And so the first guy, he's saying wine is the strongest thing because that's what has the most influence on people. That's what he thinks, right? The second one said that the king is the strongest. Why? Because he has the most, and people are believing that he has the most influence. All right, because he says something, everybody got to go by that, right? Go ahead.
The third wrote, women are strongest.
The one that is this is Zerubbabel, all right? And he said that women are the strongest. This doesn't make sense if you don't actually break it down, because you're like, what the hell are you women are the strongest? Women are stronger than the king? What are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense to most people until you actually understand it. Keep reading the end of that.
But above all things, the truth beareth away the victory.
The only way to be stronger than these women is to have the truth. And then you'll understand more than any woman can have control, more than any drink can have control, more than any king leader can have control. If you have the truth, you'll understand how to rule. Now we're going to read 1 Ezra 4 and 13 because now we're going to get an understand. We got to break this thing down. We got to understand what's happening here. All right, 1 Ezra 4 and 13, Zerubbabel is going to break down what he meant by that, because that's a question that we got to answer. What did he mean by that? That women are the strongest? What are you talking about? Let's read it.
Verse 13. It's like 1 Ezra chapter 4, verse 13. The third who had spoken of the woman and of the truth, this is Zerubbabel, began to speak.
So now you're about to break it down. Go ahead.
O ye men, it is not the great king, nor the multitude of men, neither is it wine, the excellence.
That excelleth?
That excelleth.
He's saying it's not none of the things that y'all mentioned. Keep going.
Who is it then that ruleth them, or hath the rulership over them? Are they not women?
He's saying, who got rulership over all of those things? Are they not women? You got to imagine everybody probably looking at him like, huh? What you talking about? You saying women rule us? What are you talking about? Let's keep reading.
Women have borne the king and all the people that bear rule by sea and land.
Mm-hmm. So women are all your mothers, right? Keep going.
Even of them came they, and they nourished them up that planted the vineyards, and whence the wine cometh,
From
These-
from whence the wine cometh?
From whence the wine cometh.
So women are the reason why the wine is there. Now he's not wrong. This is almost the way it reads, it almost sounds like it's like feminism. Because the way the way most people look at it is like you saying everything is because of women, but we gotta get through this whole thing. Go ahead. So like
That's really what I got when it said we all come from a woman.
yeah, that's like almost when they used to say the black woman is God.
Yeah.
But see, but you have to understand, like the more we read, we'll find out that there's a reason why he's going through all of these things and saying this. The wine that you are saying is stronger than anything else. Because remember, one of the advisors had said that wine was the strongest thing. He's saying that wine is only made because a woman raised up a man to make that wine. But it gets deeper than that, right? Keep going.
Right. It's like verse 17. These also make garments of men.
Mm-hmm.
These bring glory unto men, and without women cannot men be.
And men can't exist without women. And the garments that you wear, them fly garments, guess what? Most of the garments we rocking made by a woman.
Right.
That glorious apparel. Them women is making those things, right? Keep going.
Right. Yea, and if men have gathered together gold and silver or any other goodly thing, goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty?
Now we're getting to the meat of it. Now it's saying if a man gets gold and silver together and or any good thing, do you not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty? You're going to bring that gold and silver back to her. What are you rocking gold and silver for? You trying to impress other men? Or you trying to impress these sisters out here? You look good because you want to impress the reason you dress the way you dress as a man is not to impress other men. It's to impress women. You trying to look good for these sisters.
Right.
In that way, women rule you. In that way. Let's keep reading. It gets worse. Keep going.
Verse 19. And letting all those things go, do they not gate? And even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her,
mm-hmm.
and have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold, and or any goodly thing whatsoever?
You'll forgo wearing fine jewelry and all if you can just get the women that you want. The reason you wearing the jewelry in the first place is for the women. You want to look good for them. You're not looking good for niggas unless you're gay. So you looking good for her, but you'll take all of that off if you get the women that you want, because now you got it.
God, you'll go as far as to sell drugs. Just to
that's coming up. That's in here.
Sloppy.
No, you're right though, sir. Like that's what people do. People they will lose their wits and do everything possible to get women. And like you said, so far as to sell dope for women, so far as to murder for women, we're gonna find that out. We're gonna read that here. It's crazy.
Right.
Go ahead, select.
Verse 20. A man leaveth his own father that brought him up.
You're gonna leave your own father that raised you up. Go ahead.
And his own country.
And you'll leave the place that you was born in. You'll leave your home. Go ahead.
And cleave unto his wife.
And you'll cleave unto your wife. You'll leave everything you got. You'll put everything down for a woman. Everything you got. You'll leave your father that raised you up. You'll leave your hometown. You'll go to a brand new place to go chase that woman that you want. That's how women rule you.
Right.
Keep going.
He sticketh not to spend his life with his wife,
mm-hmm.
and remembereth neither father.
You don't remember that father that we was just talking about. Go ahead.
Nor mother.
And your mother who you love so much. Go ahead.
Nor country.
You're not even going to remember your hometown. You're going to leave everything. You're going to drop everything and go be with that woman. Keep going.
By this also ye must know that women have have dominion over you.
This is in the Bible. Salakia. You understand? By this, you got to know. After me telling you all of this and giving you this realization, you got to know. Women got dominion over you. These women rule over you. But they only rule over you because you gave them that power. You look at them as a higher being. You the one that's giving them all of that credit. You the one that's willing to leave your father, your mother, your hometown, everything for that woman. You'll leave your God for that woman, like Ahab did. Ahab left his God for a woman.
Right.
A goddamn Canaanite woman at that. You'll forsake everything that you know for a woman. And by this, you should know that women have dominion over you. But there's more. Keep going. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Matter of fact, let's keep reading. Reading the end of 22.
Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman?
You go to work and work your fingers to the bone, and you bring all that money back to a woman.
You know what's funny is there's a brother, right? There's a video of this brother like on a ladder, like almost like 10 stories high, right? Painting. It's like, damn, look at this man working his ass, you know what I'm saying, working hard, all to go back and a woman just nag him and destroy his spirit.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's doing everything, and this woman is already gonna be talking about, oh, you were out there. If he's 1 hour late, he's gonna be talking down on this brother. It's like, man, it's crazy.
But guess what? He gonna deal with it. You know why?
Yeah.
He want that woman.
Right.
And this is, man, look, I'm gonna tell y'all what I mean when we done reading this, but I want y'all to understand something. There's a message that you got to get from this. This is not just to tell brothers, hey man, women got dominion over you. That's it. Close the Bible. That's it. That's not that. I want y'all to understand something by the end of this. All right. Let's keep reading. 23. We got to read all of this damn near. So like it.
Yeah. A man taketh his sword and goeth his way to rob and to steal, to sail upon the sea and to sail upon the sea and upon rivers, and look upon a lion and goeth in the darkness. And when he had stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he bringeth it to his love.
Ain't that some Salakia? But listen, what do we just read? Salakia. Like this is how women have dominion over you, because you'll take your sword, you'll gain courage just to bring your spoil back to your woman. You'll go back, you'll take your sword up, go your way to rob and to steal anything that you can do to bring something back to your woman. You'll look a lion in the goddamn face. This is Salaga. This kid just said, you'll look upon a lion and go within the darkness, go through dangerous situations just so you can bring your spoil back to your woman. Men love women. That's the natural order of things. This ain't wrong. This right here, now the robbing and the stealing part, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that. That's against that's against the law. But the amount that we're willing to do for our women, that's in our nature. Men love women. Men want to protect our women, and we want to provide for them. And we'll look a goddamn lion in the face for y'all. Believe that. But women know that too, and they'll use that against you.
Right.
They know how far you're willing to go for them, so they'll use that against you, and that's what Jezebel did to Ahab. She knew that he loved women so much, or loved her so much, that he'd be willing to serve her God. She probably got in his ear and was like, "Hey, I serve Baal, but we need an altar here in Samaria." And he was like, "Anything for you, baby. Yeah, I'll get my service on it right now. Come on, y'all. Hey, we need an altar for Baal of it." She knew that, because when a woman knows her power, she becomes the most wicked creature on the earth. So like, yes.
No. You were definitely right. And it kind of reminded me of that movie Troy, how that, you know what I'm saying, that woman basically caused a whole war between two nations.
Yeah.
Between two, you know what I'm saying, kingdoms.
Right.
And these, like, I mean, this kingdom was, you know what I'm saying, feared great and everything. You know what I'm saying? He went all the way, you know what I'm saying, back to where they were going, back to their home, just to retreat a woman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like a whole war. Like how many wars have broken out over just a woman? Cities burned down because of a woman.
Right. And that's what this is talking about. All of this is over women. All of it.
Right.
A man, you willing to go kill, steal, and destroy over women. And that's and so once again, when women understand that, they become the most wicked monsters on the face of this planet. Because a woman is so strong, when I say strong, I'm not saying strong physically or even mentally or anything like that. What I mean by that is her influence is strong. Because a woman's influence is so strong, she caused World War I. She caused that war that you're talking about. You know, the beef between O Block and 63rd and 64th. I mean, 65th and 63rd. That's over a woman. That started over a woman. It's like, right. So you got.
Nah, I was just thinking she'll make everybody wear purple.
Should make everybody. Man, them goddamn cats in there, they all wearing purple because she said purple is like royalty. And we should be dressing like this. And it came out that woman was the reason why they wear purple.
Right.
And the reason for their doctrine. And she's the leader of the women's they got like a women's class. Instead of just like everybody going to the same class, it's like a women's class. She's the leader of that. So they got like a rank amongst the women. But that's what this is telling you that brothers was gonna fall into. You can't be weak up under a broad, man. You can't, because see, if you do that, you're gonna end up like Ahab. Ahab is written in these scriptures as a disgrace to Israel. And now I understand this is a Bible, you know, it's something that everybody can get a hold of. And so anybody can see that. Now, I know most people aren't thinking, well, if I do something stupid or if I get weak up under a broad, I'm going to get put in some sort of Bible somewhere. I know nobody thinking like that. But you should think of it as my reputation with the Lord will be as a weak man if I'm weak under this broad. If you think like that, then you're going to realize I can't behave that way. I can't act like that. I can't let this woman coerce me to do this, that, and the third. I got to be stronger than this woman. The Bible is telling me how strong a woman's influence is. This is in the Bible. We're reading how strong it's literally telling us that if it wasn't for the truth, women would be the strongest influence on this earth. That's crazy. And it's in the Bible. Well, you have to prove to the Most High. I understand. You know you're not going to be put down in a book and be disgraced that way, but you will be disgraced by your God. Your God will look at you and he'll be ashamed of you.
Right.
You know? Go ahead, Sly.
I mean, people already know, you know what I'm saying? Something, your family, probably, just the way you move, the way you talk, the shit. It's like the things you know what I'm saying? Everybody hears the story that you go through. You know what I'm saying? As soon as you come out, people are already talking. It's funny because it's like we don't know personally anybody's life, but if you just look at the brother and you know or heard or you know even seen his rib, it's like you kind of like have like a damn, this brother he or because I seen it a couple of times even in the world, like you know what I'm saying, uncles and stuff like that where it's just like, damn, like he really struggling.
Right.
He's struggling so much and it's just like, man, I never want to go through that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And even if you did go through that, you know better. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You learn from those lessons. You learn from a lesson where you don't want to feel like your integrity is being stripped from you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, you know what I'm saying, coming in here and seeing how and getting the wise counsel from these men, it'll help you avoid those situations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Thinking thinking not you know what I'm saying, thinking with the right head, not with the wrong one. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and that's extremely important. Like that's see a lot of times you hit the nail on the head with that one because integrity is the word. Most people don't got that. Most people don't have integrity. That's why they willing to, man. And once again, when you see some of these brothers get hooked up with these Edomites, they just become their dog. Captain Zaryak said it best. When a black man deals with an Edomite, you are now becoming their dog. You're their pet.
Right.
And they're going to use you up until they're done with you. They're going to throw you away. But you become subject to them. It's just the way it is. So it's almost we gotta like understand this in a twofold way because we understand dealing with our own women, we have to be strong and have to understand these things. But then when you take it outside of that box and you go and deal with another nation of a woman, like what Ahab did or what a lot of our brothers is doing and a lot of our sisters is doing, you have to understand that it makes it even worse. You get what I'm saying? Let's read verse 27.
Verse 27. Many also have perished, have erred, and sinned for a woman.
Yeah, that's
for a woman.
That's true. Many of our brothers have perished, died over a woman. We were just talking about it. Right. Let's keep reading. Salaki, verse 28.
28. And now do ye not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all regions fear to touch him?
This is something important because we know that a king, nobody want to mess with the king, especially a powerful king. Nobody want to talk to him the wrong way. Nobody want to fight him. Nobody want to do nothing to disrespect him because he has all of that power. Nobody gonna mess with that king. Keep going.
It's like verse 29. Yet did I see him and Apame, the king's concubine, the daughter of the admirable Bardicus, sitting at the right hand of the king, and taking the crown from the king's head, and sitting it upon her own head. She also struck the king with her left hand.
She take it. So now this is the king's wife. So now you got the king who everybody fears. All right. No nation will be, they don't even want to say the wrong thing because the king can snap his finger and get him killed. He snap his finger and his servants come and chop his goddamn head off.
Right.
If you talk to him wrong. All right. But what Zerubbabel is saying, he's saying, but I've seen the king sitting down on his throne. And to the left of him is his wife. And his wife playfully takes you don't touch the king's crown. I don't care who you are. You don't touch the king's crown. If anybody else was to do that besides his wife, it's the finger snap or you dying. It's that simple. She take the crown off of his head, put it on her own head, which any man knows is a symbol of like, I'm the boss of you, nigga. Like that's what that means. Anybody can understand that. She take the crown off of his head, put it on her head, and then slap him. And slap him. Right? But keep going. Verse 31.
Verse 31. And yet for all the king, and yet for all this the king gaped and gazed upon her with open mouth.
And after all of that, he didn't yell at her. He didn't get her killed like he would anybody else. He gaped and gazed at her. He thought it was cute. He thought it was cute. Oh, look at her. Oh my God, she's just the best thing ever. Oh, how she's just slapping. The cutest thing ever. The man that would, if anybody else would have done that to him, took a crown off his head and then slapped him. Oh my God, I don't care. You could have been a 3-year-old. You getting killed for that. But because it was a woman that he adored and loved, all he could do is just gaze at her and just think about how beautiful she was and how cute that was that she just did that. That's power. For a woman to be able to be in such good favor to you, to be able to do something like that and you not put her to death and you the king, that's power. That's real, true power. And that's what Zerubbabel is trying to explain. Women got that type of power. Women get away with stuff that men could never get away with. Women get away with so many things that men would have to die for. There's no way that a man is getting away. Any man does this to a king, takes the crown off his head and slaps him. There's no man alive that could get away with that. No man. But if it's a woman that a man adores and loves, she can get away with all of that. She could spit in your face and you'll be mad about it maybe, but you'll forgive her. And then the next morning, you'll kiss her and go about your day. That's how much power a woman has. And that's dangerous. So lock you. Go ahead, sir. You have something?
Yeah, and so I think there was I forget where it's at, but where they talk about that woman that disrespected the king, and his councilman said you're gonna have to do something because other men are gonna see this, and it's gonna circulate and allow other men to like their women to be disrespecting them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I forget where it's at, but I'm paraphrasing. And he basically, that woman was, you know what I'm saying, unalive.
Oh, you talking about an Esther?
God,
That's Esther. That's Vashti. Vashti. She
Yeah.
was a total B word, a dog, and she
Right.
didn't come when he called, and she and she ended
Right.
up getting cut off.
And it also like, you know what I'm saying, for the king to allow this to happen from one woman. Imagine all these other women allowing, you know what I'm saying, seeing how, like, you know what I'm saying, famous rappers and stuff like that, where people look up to them. It's like, man, this woman's doing that to him.
Right.
It's like, you know what I'm saying, let me see what I can get away with now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You see the mother and the child, the whole family, right? The mother is disrespecting the father. The child grows up and sees that. It's like, damn, that's what love is.
Right.
And that's what a family is supposed to. That's how a family is supposed to function under a wicked woman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The whole idea of, you know what I'm saying, the whole structure of a household is just built off of an emotion that a woman carries. You know what I'm saying? And not trying to offend her and this and that, and trying to take care of her.
Right.
It'll destroy a whole house. You know what I'm saying? If you really tippy-toeing around a whole woman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why this is so important. So to bring it back and understand really why we even came here in the first place is just to understand that the reason why Jezebel and what she did was so wicked, it's coupled with the fact that her husband allowed that thing. You know, Jezebel doesn't kill those prophets if Ahab doesn't allow her to. Men have control over women. So I didn't read it. We didn't read this in First Ezra just to tell you, hey, women are stronger than men. Ain't nothing you can do about it. That's not the point. The point is to understand that women have a control over men because of feelings and emotion and how much you're willing to allow them to get away with. Men got to be strong. You can't be like Ahab. You can't be like him, because being like him means the failure of your nation. And now he's the king, so of course that's at a much more grand scale. But even in your own household, imagine you got children. You letting this woman walk all over you, do whatever the hell she wants, be a dragon. Your children are watching that. What do you think they're going to grow up and be? The sons, they're going to grow up and go get a woman just like her, and they're going to behave like you behaved. So they're not going to put their foot down. They're going to get ran all over by a woman, and the women are going to run them. And for your daughters, they're going to see that behavior, and they're going to see this. They're going to do the same. They're going to grow up, and they're going to be like, I can run. Damn, my daddy was weak. I guess that's how men are. So I guess I got to be They're going to know their power, just like how we just read. They're going to know their power, know what they can do to get away with things because they're women, and they're going to utilize those things. A smart woman, a real righteous woman, understands this power, but doesn't use it to downtrod a man or to try to control a man. A woman like a righteous woman sees this power and understands it and says, you know what? You know what this means? This means that men, we'll talk about a wife, right? My husband loves me. And he loves me so much, he's willing to do anything for me. I'm going to make sure that I reciprocate that love to him. I do what I need for him because I'm precious to him. That's what a righteous woman thinks like. She doesn't think, how can I use this to my advantage? That's what a wicked dragon does. You got to look at this. If you're a woman, you got to look at this and sit and say, I'm precious to my husband. I have to make sure that I live up to this and that I do my best for him. And that's what a righteous woman does. That's what, that's what we were just talking about Esther. She did that.
Exactly.
She knew that her husband was willing to do anything for her. And she used it to her advantage, but not in a wicked way. She used it to get done something that was, of course, we see it recorded in the Bible, something that was righteous. She used her femininity and her womanhood to, I hate using that word, but we got to use it here because it makes perfect sense in this class today. All right. She used her womanhood to a righteous advantage. And that's what y'all sisters got to do. Y'all got to do the same thing. Don't be like Jezebel. Jezebel used the fact that she knew her husband would do anything for her, so she got hundreds of prophets killed. She usurped his authority, and she knew that he would let it happen, so she takes the king's pen, goes and writes a letter in the king's name to steal a vineyard from some poor brother. That's what she does. That's why she deserved to die the way that she did. Because she used her, I'm doing the air quotes, she used her femininity to a negative advantage. She used it for destruction instead of for building up. Now, of course, she a damn Canaanite. He should have, the whole thing is off. He shouldn't have been with the broad in the first place. She a whole nother nation. Of course, she's not going to build Israel up. Of course, she's going to build up a damn altar to Baal. But my point, and for y'all to understand, is that don't be like Jezebel, because you can be an Israelite sister and still be like Jezebel. You can use the power that you have as a woman for negative, for something that's negative, for breaking down your people, for doing something terrible, a disservice to your husband, to making him feel like a piece of garbage. You can totally use your femininity to ruin your husband, or you can use it to build your husband up, to be on his side, things like that. But what most sisters got to understand is that there's a thin line. There's a very thin line, and you got to understand where that line is. And we just read in that book of First Ezra, we just read the power that a woman holds. And when you understand that power, you understand your responsibility. I hate saying that because that damn near sounds like a Spider-Man line, right? But there's responsibility in knowing that. In knowing how much power you got to know that you got a responsibility with that. And the responsibility is utilizing that power to be positive in your husband's life, to be positive in your man's life, and to be a positive role model for your daughters, and for your sons to be able to see you as somebody that is, that relationship example that you setting, they're going to grow up and be looking for that. Period. They're going to grow up and they're going to be looking for the same thing that you displayed in that household. And if you displaying, being a damn monster and a dragon, they're going to look for that. And they're going to find it. Trust me. That's not hard to find. They're going to find it, and they're going to live terribly. And you're going to hate their wife, but their wife is a spitting image of you. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna hate the way that your daughters behave. They're gonna be thoughts, and you're gonna hate the way that they act. But they're a spitting image of you. And so the whole point of this class is just to understand the spirit of Jezebel. It's not some damn lady of the night. She wasn't no prostitute. She was just a wicked, disgusting heathen that utilized the fact that Ahab loved her to death and would do anything for her. And she used that for the utmost wickedness. And because of that, it's another thing we got to learn is that this woman's wickedness is a reason why Ahab is he goes down in history in this holy Bible as one of the worst kings to ever exist and one of the weakest kings to ever exist. I damn near feel bad speaking. I'm like, damn, I'm going hard on this brother, but the Bible doing it. A bad, terrible woman will ruin your namesake. So like it. You had something, sir? So
I was gonna say he did it to himself. Though.
You can't
really blame a man when they really doing it to themselves. It's like grow up here, man. Like you know,
yeah,
like,
he couldn't get that. But what always kills me when I teach this class is that he couldn't get he went to Naboth and was like, "Hey, I need your vineyard, bro. Either you give me the vineyard, I'll pay you some money for it, or I'll just put you in another spot. I'll give you a different vineyard." Naboth like, "Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. God, I'm not. The Lord would see unfit for that because you're a wicked king." Ahab go home and cry. He go in the bed. The Bible say this. It details it. He goes and he lays down, turns his face, and he get to crying.
I should have checked his spirit though.
Yeah, it did. You're right.
No, not like he should have realized, like, man, like I'm doing something wrong.
That's what I'm saying. It should have made him start to think like, damn, the people don't respect. But that's the point. Like a man like that, he not going. The scriptures say that the wicked will not stand for reproof, so he's not going to get corrected. Right. He's going to look at it like something wrong with them, and I'm mad about that. But really, it's your fault. You built an altar in Samaria, in the northern kingdom of Israel, to Baal. Right. Everybody know that's wrong. Right. You get what I'm saying? We know that's not a good thing. It's a terror. You building altars to idols. And so, but he was so damn weak. He went back and laid down in the bed after the brother rejected him. And he go lay down and he I don't want to eat, baby. I'm mad. He literally refused bread. He refused to eat. And so when Jezebel came to him, she was like, "Hey, what's wrong with you, man?" You know, she damn near she had to check him. She did have to check. I'll put it out there like that. She had to check him. Yeah, you know. You weak brothers like that, I don't know, man. You got to sometimes, your woman gonna check you. So like, but anyway, so and a wicked woman gotta check you. Oh, if a wicked woman gotta check you, it's a problem. You know. So she check him. She like, "Hey man, what's wrong with you?" He like, I went to, and the way that it reads in the Bible, it reads like he's complaining, like he's like a child. Like tattletelling. Yeah. So he like, "Man, I went to Naboth and Naboth, I told him I would give him some land for his land, but he didn't want to give it to me." And bro said, she said, "Hey, aren't you the king of Israel? You the king." She had to check him. She's like, "You the king of Israel. Sit up, get up out of this bed and go eat. I made you a plate. I got this." And she go take the king's pen, go and write up a damn letter saying, you gotta kill, basically to the other kings of the land, saying, you gotta kill Naboth. Kill Naboth. I'm excuse not Naboth, and all this and the third, and we're gonna take this land. This land now belongs to the king. Right. She had to take, I'm like, bro, this is the worst thing ever. But he gave credence to it. You acting like that, you gonna make your woman step into a position like that. So it's like a twofold thing. Yeah, she was a wicked broad, but at the same time, I mean, you can't. A woman knows her power. You can't give her no shot like that. If you acting like that, she gonna feel like in her brain she gotta step into your position. You can't do that. Don't do that. Don't be the type of person that you got a bad day. Now you go home and now you you just sad and you crying and you turn over and you, I don't want to eat, baby. I had a bad day. She gonna have to step into your position. She gonna put the man shoes on, and then now you mad at her. You gotta be the man. Otherwise, she gonna try to be the man.
Right.
So, but anyway, yeah. No, I think that's like the funniest thing about this whole, this whole story. But what we really just got to make sure we learn from this is just the fact that, man, look, you sisters got to understand that the spirit of Jezebel is something that can easily jump on all of y'all. It can easily jump on any sister, because we just read that the power of a woman is so strong. When a woman recognizes that power, it's easy for her to use it to her advantage and to her evil and to her wickedness. And Jezebel knew that man would do anything for her, and he did. We didn't get to go into it, but yeah, he basically sanctioned her to put to death hundreds of prophets, of the Lord's prophets, built up altars for and everything. That's how far a woman's wickedness can go. It can drive a who should be a righteous man to wickedness, and so we all got to watch out for that. But once again, brothers also got to understand: don't be like Ahab. Don't be like a brother. Don't be so weak that you let a woman, step all over you. And that's something that we also see a lot in today's day and age. We see a whole lot of brothers that are weak under their women, and they allow their women. You got to understand, this nation, we raising up children, and these children is watching you. They're watching your every move. I don't give a damn who you are, and I don't care how old the children is, young to old. They could be a damn 3-month-old child. That child is watching you and seeing what you're doing. Even my daughter, my youngest daughter, right? My youngest daughter is like 8 months, I think. And she copies, literally copies everything I do. If I say something, she says it right back. Now, of course, she's an 8-month-old, so she's not saying it, with proper diction, right? But she's trying to say it back. She's copying me. If I do a movement, she's doing the movement too. If I'm dancing, I might put some music on or something like that. I'm dancing with her. She's doing a dance with me. So these children from very young are watching everything that you brothers and sisters is doing. And for you brothers, we are the leaders. We're the leaders of our household. We're the leaders of the nation. We're literally the leaders. And if you're not operating right and in righteousness, you're going to teach your children to operate the same way that you're operating. And if you're operating in wickedness, or you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, or you allowing your woman to be like this Jezebel and she's the one telling you what to do, you're going to teach your children to do that. And it's high time that we stop that, because these chariots finna start coming down. It's getting to that point. The button finna get pushed. These chariots finna come down, and you got to raise these children up properly. And you can't raise a child up properly and your woman is running you. You get what I'm saying? So that's the importance of this. But we're going to go ahead and close out. So, Lockie, I'm going to put this back at the bottom of the screen for y'all, just so y'all can have a class location right. Once again, we got classes every Tuesday through Friday at 7 p.m. And every Saturday we have our classes, our Sabbath service at 11 a.m. And we got a class at 12416 North 28th Drive, right at the bottom of the screen. You can see it here. All right, we're in suite number 4, right off of the corner of 28th Drive and Cactus. Make sure y'all pulling up, man. Look, we got these classes 5 days throughout the week. We're here for y'all. All Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are welcome. Once again, we teach these classes for y'all edification, and to bring our people back to a higher state. With that being said, Shalom, Israel.